March the 12th. We just extended the group project slightly. It is a big project. I wanted to make sure everyone does well. And some of you expressed your concerns. So I said, you know, just to be fair across with everyone, it doesn't hurt to give you a couple of extra days. It's due at the end of the week, Friday. So make sure you do that. And just to go on over, I went over some of the deliverables that are part of this assignment. And I want to make sure everybody's also on board with that. So I'm going to explain that first and foremost, and then we're going to get into Figma. Okay, Figma is the new application that we're going to use for our prototyping methods. So this, honestly, I must say I'm really happy the way this transition turned out. Not only we learned the best of both, which is XD, we're going to learn Figma as well, and you can add that to your arsenal of application skills. All right, so without further ado, let's get started here. I'm going to share my screen. And let me know if you guys can see my screen. The guests there, give me a thumbs up or something. Who's the guest in the group? Can you see my screen? Like on your computer?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Excellent. So then, as I mentioned earlier, we have the group assignment due here, right? This is just an example of a truck mobile app that we did in the past. Of course, you know by now you can do whatever content you like. However, it does list the deliverables here, like your research, right? So let's say there's 4 members in your group. You can describe to me who did what so I can understand. And if you don't, I'm just going to assume the responsibilities were divided equally. So there's the research component, there's the sitemap component, there's the wireframe component, and there's the prototype component. All components are important. But can you guys like not talk, please? Because I'm getting background noise. Guys, can you not, like, I'm recording this, right? So we want background noise. Unless you guys want to come here and record yourself, that'll be good too. All right. So make sure you list all those things that I just mentioned and equally divided the responsibilities amongst your group members. So going forward, this is class number 9, week number 10. We're concluding the XD part or the module. That means the remainder of the semester, we're going to focus on using Figma, which is the industry prototyping application that's being used, and also like call it the coolest app on the planet because a lot of people are raving about it right now, right? So I'll be happy. Now, some of these exercises, because don't forget, I did this semester. Last semester, I didn't teach Figma. I taught only XD, and we did XD all the way throughout. I only did this change because the decision was made 2023, and conclusively, I had to make sure I get approval from the school to make changes to the course because that has to be done too and documented. And I was able to wiggle Figma in here for the better of you guys having up-to-date knowledge on the applications, right? So I made sure that was done. So officially, this is the first semester that I'm teaching Figma here at Humber with you guys, okay? So having said that, I'm gonna have to update these files. They're XD files, but that's because they're just examples. I'm gonna make sure when we finish the exercises today, I'm gonna change these with the Figma files. So you'll have a Figma example of how these were done, and you can cross-reference XD and Figma. There's nothing wrong with that. I even looked up some of the online communities, how to transfer XD to Figma. You can just look here, for example, XD to Figma. You can see there's a lot of different ways to convert XD to Figma files or vice versa. Not as easy though, okay? So if you look at some of these things here, right, it tells you you can export, you can drag. The most common method to export files is using SVG or vector files. Because Figma is not acquired by Adobe just yet. Adobe wants to purchase Figma, so once that happens, I'm sure there's a way you can just open Illustrator in Figma or Photoshop in Figma. Right now, you can't. Okay, you can't just open like that's why I like XD, because you can open all your designs in XD and just make them work, right? So Figma's a little not as compliant, I guess. And I guess until that day comes, I think it's gonna come sooner than later. We're still gonna be okay. So for now, just remember that. Perhaps you can export images like you would in Photoshop and bring them to InDesign. Same thing, you would use Figma as the same type of application. Okay, so you would bring files into Figma and develop the prototypes that way. All right, so keep up with these communities and these new latest trends and news, and we can, keep up with the latest. All right, so let's go ahead and download these two files here, assets and buttons and switches. This is a good way to introduce the application and to give you an overview of the interface and how Figma works would be also important. And as we go along, we have class 10. That's also gonna focus more on your next assignment would be another UI kit, but this one's gonna be done in Figma. So it gives you a nice way to acquaint yourself with the application and to understand how Figma works. And you're gonna make this UI kit for a website this time, not a mobile app. So you're gonna be doing a prototype for a website. And your website will be also transferred into the class you have with, I guess, your web design class. Your prototype can help you with that class as well. And when we're done that, the last part of this class would be converting your website into an app. So you're gonna have a website and an app for yourself. And guess what's gonna be on that website and app that you're gonna make? Your portfolio. So everything lines up together. You have a portfolio class, you're doing a portfolio website, and with me, you're doing a portfolio prototype. So basically, you're focusing you're channeling all your energy for yourself, for your portfolio. And I hope this experience that you've had so far with the group project and other things we did, assignments and exercises, will help you, use those skills towards this next assignment, okay? So that's pretty much in a nutshell how this course will wrap up, okay? I don't know if you're doing presentations at the end. You are? Who's doing, what class are you doing them in? Do you know yet?
Yeah, we have the time.
You do?
Why do you want to come?
Well, usually it's in my class.
Well, let me see.
But because whoever teaches you last. If it's Felicia, then it's him. If it's me, if it's before. When's Jeremy's class? Are you doing like a greet and meet thing? I gotta reach out to Jeremy, I guess, because I'm not.
Yeah.
Was this already announced? When was this announced? Like, a long time.
It was in an email to Jeremy about a week ago.
Okay, so it was recent, right? Okay.
Very recent.
All right, perfect. So I will make sure that was, if I can make it that day, that'll be great. Wednesday evening, I'm teaching a night class though. They moved the schedule around so weird these days. Do you know, like your section right now? There's another section. They're like the 7 o'clock night section.
Wow.
Yeah.
Question about the final project and how it is. Because you saying it all comes together, and I'm just wondering.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know how they'll work together. Like, we already started kind of our websites, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how we're gonna be making like prototype, because that'll be like, that's due later.
I understand. So good question. In reality, you do the prototype first, and then you do the website after.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, you're doing already the portfolio, right?
And a website. So we just got a website.
Yeah.
We just got a portfolio.
Exactly. But you're a student. You're learning how to do these things.
Yep.
So the whole point is to learn and understand how to apply the prototype as your starting point. Like pretend you're doing it kind of thing. You're not really doing it that way. But
Yeah.
in real life scenario, you're going to be doing the prototype firsthand, the drawings and the concept, and then you're going to do the delivery. So because the way things are lined up, and this is how courses are, I can't really fast forward the portfolio here. We have to start it later. Okay. So you're going to put all your portfolio stuff that you've done already and build a Figma prototype. That's all. Okay, so you're just going to show me that you can use Figma as an app to create a prototype for your portfolio. Okay, that's all. You just kind of mirror everything back and forth. And if it looks a little different, that's fine. It's not going to look exactly. It never looks exactly anyways. You see a prototype of a car, by the time it gets to the dealership, it doesn't look nothing like a prototype. But it included some of the bells and whistles and all the features. So prototypes will be nice to mirror the final product, but it doesn't always happen. Okay? All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and download the app we're going to be using Figma. So what you want to do is basically open up a new tab on the browser, and I'll give you a nice tip. Because I used Figma with my Gmail account, and it was free, right? And that's great. But did you know that if you're a student and you register as a student, or I did as an educator, they gave me like the professional version for free. So while you keep your school email, you can take advantage of this feature. And I think once you're logged in, you might be able to, I don't know, indefinitely, you might be okay too, for free. So because it's free, it's a good thing. You don't have to pay any extra money, and you do have now both programs here, XD and Figma. Okay? So go to figma.com, and let's see if we can get the application now. That didn't fog my backs. All right, so figma.com, log in. For you have to create an account. If you haven't done it already, you create an account and you go through the process and the steps. I strongly suggest you use your Humber email. And if you already have a free email with Gmail, I guess you can use that for now as well. I want to give you some time to do this when you have the right credentials and stuff saved up. Okay. So you have it set up. And if you already have it, that's fine. I'll just assume you already have it installed, and we can continue with that. But just to let you know, I got two accounts. I got one with my Gmail account, and when I found out, hey, I can get a full version or a school account, I made another account, and I use my Humber email to do the other account. So from now on, I'm using my Humber email, so I can get like unlimited features, things like FigJam. And a FigJam is the collaborative feature in Figma, which you can work with groups and stuff. It would have been perfectly ideal for this group project, but because we're doing XD, we did XD for that same reason. So it's okay. Now you know you can use both features for both programs. So I'm going to go ahead and log into my email here. And once I log in, you should be able to open the app onto the browser, right? Now, if I have my own desktop here, because like, if I install the app, one, it won't let me, because I don't have administrative privileges in this computer. Only IT can do that stuff. And if you have your own laptop, install the desktop app. So you might see somewhere here. When you guys see where the desktop app? Where's the desktop app option? You see that? Here, right here. Everybody, it's right here. Looking at this program might be overwhelming at first because it's got so many things all over the place. But just keep in mind, it's very similar to XD. Look for your name over here. And you can go here, get the desktop app. If I try to do that here, it might not let me do it because of this. Let me just see. I'll try it anyways. See, it's giving me the administrator thing. So you can do it and install the app on your computer. And again, if you don't want to, you can use the desktop, okay? So again, get the app, desktop app, PC, Mac, doesn't matter. It'll recognize the OS. And then once you do that, you can open up Figma. Me, I'm gonna use the browser because that's just how my stuff is set up here on this computer. Look at this, you have diagram basics. They got all these files you can use, like templates and stuff. Planning ahead, brainstorming. I mean, these are all miscellaneous files I can get into another time. Right now, I just want to show you the basics and how the application works. It's getting more familiar with the program, and you compare the difference between XD and Figma, so the transition would be nice and seamless. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this template stuff. But there's a lot of resources for you to use here, right? There's also the Figma basics. I love these files here because these will teach you the basics of the application. One thing is watching a YouTube tutorial or a video. Another one is using these files because they're interactive and immersive. You get to actually use the items that are provided to you. For example, if you click on this ones, I strongly recommend. Do you guys see these files, by the way?
Honestly,
No problem. That's okay. So you can just do it. This is being recorded. You can do this after. But if you click on the basics, for example, just double click, it'll open up like the actual file. It'll teach you everything about the basics of Figma. And speaking of the basics, let's just see what this is. In 3 minutes, this space is for learning the basics of Figma and to practice on some design, on sample designs. Check out the examples below. They're for you to hack up, replicate, and make your own. So practice design. So this is just some files they incorporated here. And then this is the actual, like the pen tool path and object. They basically design these things. I'm gonna maybe get you to do something similar. And this is like a website, a homepage of a website. Notice the website has a 12-column grid, something we did in Photoshop from last semester, right? So same rules apply on all these design programs. Use a 12-column grid. Can someone tell me why we have 12 columns? Why 12? Why 12 of these? What was the reason for that? Why not like 13 or 11? Why 12? Factors. It's a common denominator, right? Because you can put multiple divided compartments into 12. You can put like 6 and 6 go into 12. You go 3, 3, 3, 3. 3 times 4 equals 12. 4 times 3 equals 12. So a lot of multiple boxes can fit into the 12 nice and even. For that reason, 12 is a common denominator that's used across most web applications or websites for prototyping. So here you have the 12-column grid. If you click on it, look at this. This is how you set it up. 12-column grid. And you can type how many columns you want. You can change the colors, the opacity, and all these different things from the layout menu. This is an example of a shopping cart that's being done, right? Notice how these are considered frames. So listen carefully. The difference between XD and Figma, right away the most notable difference that threw me off was this thing called frame. Like, what's a frame? A frame could be anything. Frame could be an area of your design. Frame could be considered an artboard. Frame could be also like an interactive thing where you're going to put components into. So frames are like universal and they're very profound in the whole application. So get familiar with this word called frame. Just like you use frames in design, and you put inside frames, you put, what do you put? Images, right? You put text, you put content. It's like a frame box, right? So that's what frames really are in XD. Frames. So frames are very, as you can see this example here, look how many frames there are. There's frames inside other frames. So one frame can pose itself as an artboard, and the other frames can pose itself as design elements inside the artboard. But it's a little confusing, but once you grasp the concept of nesting and how it works, it's quite easy to understand. Frames inside frames. You can see here, the shopping cart is the frame, and these frames are navigation, page heading, summary, onion, ginger, tomato. Basically like groups of items or graphics in a frame that are compartmentalized, nicely organized, and put inside the bigger frame, which serves as the artboard. So you can see how the nesting works. That's why this example is nice to show you, not to overwhelm you because it looks busy, I know, but just to kind of show you the relevance of how this works and how important it is. Everything is pretty much done into frames. Now watch this. If I double click inside this tomato, it's like a shopping cart website here. Oh, by the way, here's the shortcuts. To zoom in, I'm holding Command or Control, wheel up, wheel down on the mouse. Okay. Command plus, Command minus works too. Spacebar gives you the hand tool, right? So the shortcuts are very similar as XD. Okay. I also love Figma, how it does step and repeat, like Command D, because you can duplicate things like you would in Illustrator, which is in a step and repeat fashion. That works well. Okay. To select things, you basically click on the top corners. Now watch this. If you double click, right? See this section here of the tomato? If I double click, you go inside the frame. So what's inside the frame? You have the tomato, right? What else do you have? You have the text box. You have the price. You have another object here, the £1, another frame. Look at this. A frame inside a frame, inside a frame, right? So once you grasp the frame concept, it's quite easy. You can basically do everything in frames. And what goes in the frames are your elements, like images and text. Because if I double click now, look at this, how this is broken up. Tomato, input field, and you have the 1 pound. You can put 1.5 pounds, right? You can edit this thing now. And you have the little icon, another frame. And I'll be honest with you, as much as I like how they use frames, this is too redundant. So, I mean, if you're okay with all this like nesting stuff, that's fine. But you don't have to go this extreme. You don't have to put frames everywhere. You can just use graphics. You can just use frames for your main elements, and just use frames where necessary. Use them when necessary. Don't just use them because they're cool and you think it's going to help you. It's just going to confuse you more. In this case, you can see how there's frames inside frames inside frames inside frames. Whereas XD doesn't have frames. XD has artboards. And the artboards contain elements. Like you put different, I guess, components. Components would be the next way. And you would put graphics, buttons, and other things, right? So XD doesn't have frames, whereas Figma does. Okay, so that's the main takeaway, frames. Everything else would be very similar in terminology, like things like components, I just mentioned earlier, images, text boxes, things like that. Let me now lighten things up a little bit here. I'm going to put this file away and make you open up a new file with me. Let me just see a show of hands. How many logged in successfully and you're ready to partake in this exercise together? If you want to watch, that's fine too, because this is being recorded. All right, so let's go ahead and make a new file. So a new tab. Now, how do you make a new tab? Do I just open up a new tab, right? No, you do this. Look here. So I already exited the file. Let's say I go to this one again. Now I'm inside Figma Basics. This is the Figma Basics file. If you click on drafts or main, you go to the drafts. The drafts gives you the main home page, okay? And from here you can pick anything else. You got teams, right? You have recents. And drafts is basically what you're working on right now. So maybe that's your go-to for now. Just go to drafts, okay, or your main page, and this is where you can be working with things. You also have deleted and drafts. You have two different areas here, okay? So the main menu is on the left. That's your main selections that you want to, whether create a new file, okay, or click on different drafts. As a matter of fact, to create a new file, it's over here, new design file, FigJam board, okay? So FigJam board is if you work with groups and maybe you work for a company with a lot of collaboration with different teams, that's when FigJam is good. Like I mentioned earlier, would have been ideal for your group project, but we used XD instead. So that one also gives you a similar sharing capability. It just, the word is called FigJam, right? Because you mix figs in a jam and you get jam, right? FigJam. All right. I think they love figs, really. It all started from a fig fell off a tree. I'm just making this up totally. That's figs, Figma, and FigJam. So could be something like that. Like remember, like BlackBerry or like the company BlackBerry, they called it as the blueberry. They like to use fruits and vegetables sometimes too. Look at Apple, right? Apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? Apple. And the name also came just out of the blue. Remember the one bite out of the apple? Well, Steve Jobs, the documentary had different ways of explaining that. But the one bite is the simplicity of the Apple house. One click, one mouse. You know, Apple still has one button on their mouse. They have a second click, but it took them like decades to come up with the second button. Even now, they want to keep it simple. One click. But you have to hold control to do a right click. That's why when your settings are not configured, you have to hold control to click to right click. Like this, look, if I hold control, I can right click, see, like that. It's still one click. Anyways, create a new design file right now, design file. This will open up a very clean looking environment for us, and we can really focus on some of these basic things that are important. I'm gonna put, this is XD in the background. Look, I open up the XD files, because if I just direct you to my downloads folder, I downloaded these two asset files from today's lesson from Blackboard. So if you go to like class number 9, class 9, I downloaded these two files. These two files are the assets exercise and the buttons and switches. So there they are. And if you open them up, they look like this. So there's the buttons and switches. And this one we already did. It's just another way to showcase these things. Look at these switches, how they work. If you press the play button, you can activate them one at a time or whatever. You already know how to do this because I covered it. I made sure I covered this before so you can apply it in your group project. I saw some of you already did that. That's great. But how do you do this in Figma? That's what I'm going to show you next, or after when I finish the explanation. And the other file is this one, just to create a basic website. These are also little switches we made with some text box, a title, a bar, images, just something basic so you can start playing with the design and navigation. If I press the play button, this is just a simple website that could have like little switches and stuff in it, right? So those are the two files that ask you to open up in XD. Now back to Figma, right? Look at XD for a second. There's your tools here. There's your layers, right? There's your layers. There's your assets. And this is your plugins. So basically, to access all this, you got to click here. This is your main design area. And right here on the right are your properties. And up here, you control prototype, share, and design. So picture this now. They took this concept, and now you have Figma that looks kind of the same, but in a way it's different. Because if you look at Figma, it looks like this. Properties are here. Layers and assets are here, just like XD, nothing different. But the tools, they're not here. The tools are across the top. That's the main difference. So all the tools are here, and there's not too many. This is the menu. The main menu is here, the little Figma looking logo. If you press on the button, you can go to File. You can operate the program this way from a menu structured approach. Like most applications have a menu. You can do edits and view and object and all these cool things here. So this is like your main menu that Figma has. That if you go to XD doesn't really have it. It's up here actually. This is the XD app, so it's up here. And Figma is a lot more simplistic, and it's over here. Okay, so that's the main takeaway. The menu, the placement's different, right? This is your selection tool. There's two of them. Move and scale, just like Photoshop, right? Move and scale, or Illustrator, the other programs. So obviously you need to be in these tools to move anything. Anything mean like artboard, or in this case, frame, objects, images, text boxes. This is your main tool. This here is your frame tool. Now this one's important. Without this tool, you can't really use the program. So these two are the most fundamental important tools for you to learn. Frames and selections. And you have something called, these are miscellaneous. I'll be honest with you, I don't even see the use of these, but there's a way to add sections for explanatory purposes and slicing for different exporting features. Very irrelevant. So please don't even worry about those until maybe later I'll show you an example. But for now, frame is what you want to know. There's all about frames, okay, and selection. So selection tool, frame tool, and going further here, these are your objects. You can do rectangles, lines, arrows, ellipses, polygons, stars, and you can place images, and guess what else? You can place video, okay? You know what else you can do? Place GIF animations. You can place animated GIFs. That was the big thing. like, oh, students would ask me, can you put GIFs in XD? And the answer was no. You can put 15 megabyte videos in XD, very short, but in Figma, you can, I think, do more than that. It's got a little more capacity. So you can definitely place a lot of things inside the application. And of course, your favorite pen tools right here. And you got the pencil too, pencil and pen, freestyle, or you want to get all technical. Then you have the text box, okay? Then you have the resources, which you can dip into your components, which we're going to make components for the switches, for the buttons. When it comes to more advanced interactions, you have to use components. Same like XD, Figma incorporates the same language terminology, components, all right? And you have plugins, and yeah, plugins helps the app function to a different capacity. You can get things that are a little easier to, I guess, accomplish, getting plugins or even widgets, okay? Widgets are also ways you can incorporate in Figma. And this has more value than, I think, XD, because XD has only plugins. I don't think it has even widgets to work with, okay? So again, those are like not necessary, but they're part of the extension of the actual app itself. All right. This is your hand tool. You basically pan around the environment. And lastly, you have a comments. So if you have a comment to make and you're working with FigJam, you can collaborate with other members. You can put comments and say, hey, can you change this menu and fix it or whatever? You can make comments for that reason. And of course, this is your untitled document here. We're going to call this Playground because we're just going to have some fun today and work with the application called Playground. And here you have your login and your name, okay? Here you can share the file with anyone with the link. If you have like a group created, you can create like a group and allow them to edit your file like you did with the groups. And this is how you can share and copy the link with the rest of the world. This here is called developer mode. Again, no need to do that unless you're ready to work with the development team. And this here is your quick way to preview your design or your prototype. You can also do present or preview, two different things. You can do a shortcut with shift space. It'll give you a nice little preview window of how your app will look like. Just like you would in XD. Like if I go to XD, you do the same thing here. When you press the play button, you can see how this works. So very similar in comparisons, the way the interface is set up. The main takeaway here is frames. The menu is all the way here, okay? I think the desktop app might have it on top, I'm not sure. And again, the properties are very extended. So wait till we get into the nitty gritty. This can change quite a bit based on your selection. So this is very important right here. This right side, very, very important. That's your main stuff right here. So let's go ahead and start by creating a basic frame to start with. So I'm going to ask you to go to the frame tool and go ahead and draw a nice frame on your screen. Right? When I say a nice frame, I mean this could be any size you like. Look over here for a second. Right away, it says frame 1. Right? And look over here. It says frame, or you can specify what size of frame you want it to be. You want to make an iPhone app? You want to make an Android app, which a lot of similar requirements. You want to make a website? You want to make like a Surface Pro, iPad, desktop. Look at all the options you have. You want to make a TV commercial? You can make a commercial for TV, sure. The next part is a video app, whatever. Like Figma wants to be like an all-out program, and they're trying a little too hard at first. They want to be like a little bit of everything, and that's good. The ambition is good, but at the end of the day, it's a prototype software. Can it do a lot more? Yes. You can treat this program like a design software. Okay. So let's go ahead and make it iPhone. Let's go with. You know what? We did apps already and stuff. Let's go ahead and make it it's like an actual desktop. Maybe I'll make it smaller actually. Let's do a custom size. So the width, I want you to make it 900 pixels. The height, I want you to make it 650, okay? 900 by 650 pixels is what the artboard is. and I gotta call it frame because that's the name, frame, not artboard. It looks like an artboard, but it's a frame. So frame equals artboard. Okay, are we clear with that? So when I say frame or artboard, I mean the same thing. But then I will reference it as a frame because this might be like the actual layout artboard, and frames might be built inside the frames, which act as other items. Let's name it as such. So this will be here, frame 1. We'll call it main page, okay? So now you know this is the main page. And that's the purpose of it having the word page. You know it's the page. Look what else you have here. You have your design, okay? Portrait, landscape. Resize to fit. Clip content. This is a cool little feature that XD doesn't have. Clip content means if you have everything outside the artboard, it'll clip it, like a clipping mask in Illustrator. So that's a cool little feature to have. By default, it should be on automatically, right? Auto layouts. This is also really cool because whatever you put in here, it'll automatically lay out the design for you. Now, we're not going to do that just yet because it's a little finicky and problematic if you don't know how to use it. So I'll leave that alone for now. Has a layout grid. Yes, you can put the grid here. Okay, so you can put the grid to be 10 pixels. You can do maybe 50 pixels, right? You can change it to different amounts, and that'll do just that with the grid. Again, to turn it off, you can hide it or you can just delete it. You don't have to have these things on. Pass through is just a way you can add different overlay properties like you would in Photoshop, I guess. So you can have a different thing with overlaying other items, basically. So it is like a call it a layer blend type of effect. And lastly, you have something called fill. Just pick a color for now so I can have a nice board to work with. I'll pick a nice green, so it looks like an actual chalkboard. Okay. So there's my green background. 100% opacity. You can even have a stroke, right? Like an outline. So go ahead and, yeah, watch how you say that, right? Stroke, no. All right. So we're going to go ahead and only put outlines or strokes when you need to. In this case, I'm just going to turn it off. So no stroke, okay? Effects is effects like drop shadow. The common effects that are in XD are here. Drop shadow, glow, feather, things like that I think you can use. There. Actually, inner shadow, drop shadow, layer blur, background blur. Okay, so I'm just going to turn off the effects for now. And finally, you have export option. You can export because Figma wants to be a design program. So you can create designs and export them to whatever format you want. So you can, maybe you export a prototype to a client. You don't want to see them a visual. You can export a PNG, a JPEG, SVG, or a PDF. A PDF. So that's pretty neat, right? You can create a PDF in Figma. I don't know for what reason. Maybe if you want to create a document or something. But that's cool to know that you can do all these 4 formats. And finally, you have the preview over here. So you can see there's a lot of stuff on this side. More than the whole application itself, heavily relies on you controlling this input right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and now and do something here with our page. I'm going to ask you to create maybe another document inside, like perhaps let's create an element of a rectangle. Let's go ahead and do that. It should snap automatically, right? This can be like the main menu for like a web page or something that we're going to make. The color for this will be perhaps, oh, look at this, by the way. Look at this. Like, how convenient is this? It shows you all the document colors that are available right now. So you can be you don't have to save the colors. It's already kind of saved internally. So you can select consistency throughout your designs. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one here. However, I'll make it a little darker for my interface design, right? So I'll go with this color right there. So now I have all these colors available. And because, look how this is set up. The main page holds my rectangle 1. Let's rename this and call it menu bar or nav bar. Nav bar, right? And the nav bar could be a frame as well, which I'll show you how to convert very, very soon. Now let's say this exceeds the area like that. Look, the rectangle exceeds my frame. How come I can't see it? Because if you remember, look at this. Clip content is on by default. That's how that clips everything outside. This will become very handy later when you do more interactions with, like, let's say you're doing like one of those swiping image galleries or something. That can help trap the area inside the mask. It's like a mask, okay? So it clips the content, and intentionally, I'm just gonna go ahead and move this back here because I don't want that to do just yet. But I do want this clip content to be on just in case, right? What's up here? Now this is an object called navbar, like a rectangle inside my frame. But if do you know you can actually right click and you can go frame selection. So if you have like a rectangle that you want to make into a frame, you can convert the rectangle into a frame by doing this. And now this became a frame too. And if I double click on this, the nav bar is inside the frame. So you can actually do a design of a bunch of stuff and draw a rectangle and make that the frame, and a frame frames everything inside the rectangle. Like a clipping mask in Illustrator, right? So you make a clipping mask by selecting multiple shapes. Let's use the line tool next, because I want to kind of get you to have fun and get familiar with all these tools. I'm going to draw a line all the way across from here to there. And this will be like a nice, maybe I'll pick a similar color and I'll increase the weight of the outline here. This is your outline weight. You can drag the cursor, or you can actually go ahead and type a number. You can control different variables of the outline. Center, inside, outside, you can do different types of things here. Okay. Arrows. Arrows help too when you want to point, you do like an actual tutorial and you want to create a tutorial for your app and you want to show, hey, click here. This points to there, this points to that. For good for instructions and communication, the arrows will help in that regard. You can definitely control it by selecting the amount of thickness. You can control the type of arrow. Look, you can put little dots and different things. It's a good way to create your IA, information architecture, when you connect the artboards and stuff. Okay, so it's a good way to incorporate the arrow tool. Then you have the ellipse. Okay, ellipse, just like anything else, it works like a circle. But wait, there's more. Not just a circle. This acts like an actual, you can do a semicircle too, right? So I like how Figma encapsulated more features than XD, because I don't think XD can do this. It can, but not to this extent. Look what else you can do. You can grab these things now, and you can grab this and make it in and out. So you can do one of those, right? And then you can actually do one of those loading bars and stuff, like those fancy little pie charts. Things like you see on websites and stuff, they do the stats. What's that graph called with the circular ones? Not the bar, is it pie? The donut graphs or whatever. The pies are similar. They're more like the circle with the pies inside. So it's kind of cool with that regard. You can do some cool things. And then, of course, then you can go ahead and round the corners as well. Look. So I rounded the edges to 20. So you can really take this to the next level without integrating any Illustrator stuff. Doing this in Illustrator is quite the task too, right? How would you do this in Illustrator? Right, round the edge. You have to like do maybe like another shape, cut that shape from that shape using Pathfinder.
Scissors on a circle.
Right.
Or on a round circle stroke.
Right.
And then I went around with a.
That works too, yeah. The scissors. I use the scissors because it's part of my teachings in doing more like surgery. I call it surgery, technical surgery, digital drawing surgery, because we cut apart points and rejoin points and things like that. So you learn how to use the scissors in that way. So anyways, it's a cool little feature here. Let's go ahead and, if you hold shift, you constrain the proportions. If you don't, you can transform it. So just keep that in mind. And yes, just to go over some of these effects over here, let's give it a darker outline, right? And you can always control how this works, you see?
And it seems to be parallel lines instead of.
Sorry? Yeah, you can do that. I'm doing my Chicago Bears logo. See? There we go. All right. And then, of course, the effects come here. You can use the effects from a drop shadow, looks nice. You can click layer blur. You can do background blur, different ways. Some of them affect images and some of them affect objects. So kind of be decisive on what you want to use in terms of these effects. Okay? All right, next. Polygon. Just like the polygon tool in Illustrator and XD. Look at this. The other hand, my left hand is pressing down. My right hand is pressing down. My left hand is going up, up. Oh, hey, don't go up. My bad, it doesn't work. The shortcuts. I think so. Let me see. No, go up and down here. But usually up and down controls the sides, right? You can also do it this way. I think it did work. Maybe I'm using the wrong shortcuts here. But you can change. Where's the sides here? There we go. So this option here changes the number of sides. Doesn't have to. The shortcuts doesn't have to work, but you can try them. Okay. There's your how many angles and sides you like, and yes, you could actually round the corners and do these other things as well. Okay. So this would be good for things like this. You can use like the nice little grid and things like that. What I like about this, by the way, right? You can option drag. Let me just delete this one here. Right? If I option drag shift and I press Command D, you can actually do step and repeat, which is really nice. Illustrator has this tool integrated. You can really do some nice stuff with this option drag shift technique. So let's say you're doing a nice portfolio gallery. You can drag a bunch of images in there. They could be like your placement holders for things like that. That might work, right? Let's quickly go ahead and see if I can grab some pictures here. Images. I'll grab this image for a second. Just download it here quickly. Right? I'll grab another image over here. This is portrait landscape. Here's another one. Just drag and drop. Drag and drop. I'll grab another one here. I think we're good to go. Right? I got 5 images. Thank you. 6 images there. Even number. So all these images that are over here now, right? I can bring them into here by simply dragging one at a time. Oops. You have to have this selected first. Oh. See here. Oh, the desktop app will work. The browser won't. If you have the desktop app, it should go nice and easily inside the frame. XD has no problem doing that, by the way. For this one now, I guess I have to do it this way. See if I can bring it in this. That's why I like to use the app better. But if you go to insert, place image, okay? So option command K, just like you're using InDesign, right? You don't want to drag and drop sometimes. It's a little it's a little careless. Placing images will definitely give you more control what you're placing where and what. So you can actually go ahead and select some of these images here, and you can then go ahead and select. That doesn't work here. Let me try it again. Command Shift K. There. So you see how that works? It's a little bit of a step-by-step approach, but it does work. Just watch me carefully again. Everybody watch here. So I click on the box. I right-click, and you can go to, actually, you can even paste images too. Paste also works if you copy an image from a software. Okay, so paste here. I don't have nothing pasted, so it won't really work. It'll just that one there. So what I'm going to do in this case is, again, drag and drop. Won't cut it. But if you do this one here, place image. So Command Shift K. You click on the image. Oh, WebP. Let's see if WebP works. Click inside. Watch this. Do not click and drag. Just click inside, and the image should fit. Because if you click and drag, it'll place it separately. Look, I'll do it again. Command Shift K. I'll grab one more image. Okay. If I click anywhere, it'll go inside. But if I do click and drag, it'll do that. So that's just how it's finicky. Yes. Adjust it how? Oh, what's inside? Yeah, you can. But let me just show you one more thing quickly. Like if I select this image here. I just want to show you all the shortcuts. See this image? Command X, right click, paste here. No? Is it paste into? I think there's a paste into option. Copy, paste. Paste to replace. Ah, okay. You know what? Just do Command Shift K for now. I was trying to paste it inside. It works from another program, but not from within for some reason. I'm sure there's a way to fix that though. So anyways, let's bring this in again. Click inside to paste. And the question was, can you edit it once it's inside? Well, you should be able to, right? The whole thing, or if you double click and you select the image, right? Whoops. Let me show you one more thing. Look at this image here. Once you click on it, the fill of that specific object reflects the image that's here. So now look what else you can do what XD can't do. Look at that. You can control exposure. You can control contrast. You can do a lot of image editing techniques. Basically, it wants to eliminate Photoshop from the equation. Right? So you can do your color corrections in Figma if you want to, right? And you can do temperature and all these different cool things, which is nice. I think it's great that you can do that. So yeah, you can do fit, crop, tree, all these different nice things. Tile. Okay, so are you watching here? Because you guys asked me the question. Basically, let me just go back here for a second. So here's how you do it. I know it's getting technical. I thought it'd be easy. Just double click. If you go inside the image, and you go to fill or crop, you can edit it that way. I think fit means basically fit it to the box. But if you go to crop, you could crop the image this way, you see? So you could stretch it or you constrain it based on its position. You can control where the image is located. That's how you can edit the placement within the object. It took me I thought it was easier than that, but apparently you have to. If you find an easier way, let me know. Because I think the app, I'm using the browser. The app might be better. I think it's better because I had less problems doing this on my laptop. Okay, I'm using the school computer. I'm using a browser. It throws me off a bit, but I'm still managing to do these things. And if not, I'm unearthing other ways to do it from here. So you can do crop. Okay, you can do tile. You can do many different ways of configuring the image. I think crop's the one you want to stick to, and that's that. Just be careful not to experiment too much because it might transform your option here. So that's how you do it. All right. Oh, by the way, one more thing. If I want to replace this image, I'll pick a different one. Okay. There we go. You know what else you can do? You should be able to do this too. There you go. You watch that? Drag and drop. Drag and drop. So that works only if this is open. So that's the Figma purposely did it to prevent you from doing it this way. You do it this way. So you can kind of do it that way. And to edit it, you go through your options here. So a little different, but you know, once you get used to it, it's nothing that complex. All right, next. Okay, this is just a star tool, nothing to, I mean, it's kind of cool because you can do things like this and around the corners and do lots of cool things. And of course, you can control the number of sides. So you could do this little gear thing spinning, right? The little gear icon or whatever, right? You can do lots of cool things with this option, okay? Let's say I do another one. Make a smaller one, top of a bigger one. If I have two objects, what happens now? So you can center them perfectly, or let's say you can't center them, you can select them both and look up here, middle, center. So this is your alignment options like you would use in other drawing program. You can align all your stuff here, and you can actually do lots of other cool things, right? Let me see if I can go select both of them here. Look up here for a second. Look here. Pathfinder. Remember the Pathfinder? It's up there. So you can basically go subtract selection, right? Now you have like the actual cookie cutter approach. You can also do merge, subtract, exclude, and what's the other one? Yeah, intersect, right? Which is thing. You can absolutely. So basically, if I want to group these two objects, I can just select them, and I think it's Command G, really. Command G should group the objects together. And grouping works well. I love grouping objects. Sometimes it's the most, common sense to do when it comes to multiple things. Just to show you, it's under here, group selection. To ungroup, you right-click and you go ungroup. Oh, wow. It's not Command Shift G. It's Command Backspace. Don't ask me. I didn't make up these shortcuts, right? But apparently, do you know what the ungroup shortcut was for like 20 years? Command U. Ungroup. Makes sense, right? Command U is ungroup. Command G is group. Then they started doing Command Shift G. Now they're doing Command Delete. It's all these different shortcuts. Okay, but again, let me just quickly ungroup, and I wanna punch a hole through this gear. So I'm gonna use the Pathfinder options. Notice how this showed up here. Notice it's not available. Only when you have multiple selections available, you can actually go ahead and do that. Right? Totally makes sense. That's what you're doing, right? Absolutely. Right. Drop shadow and everything, right? To change the angle of the drop shadow, I believe you have to go here and click on this little light button, and you can do the X and Y. Y is your vertical position, X is your horizontal position. So right now, I know it's not like you can drag it. Yeah, quite. So you can definitely, maybe I'll do X, I'll do 2, maybe I'll do like 5, Y, I'll do 5. So this way it's positive 5, down 5, down. If it's negative, it goes up. So if I want to go up, let's say, I'm going to do y will be -10. So it goes upwards. Yeah. I'll maybe bring back to the trigonometry math stuff. And then, yeah, we can definitely throw an outline as well. Right? All right. What else can we do in Figma? Well, we can pretty much all these tools that we did here, placing images in video, we could have also done it this way instead of using the menu. Do I have a video? I don't think so. Let's see if I can bring a video. Can I bring a 2-hour video in Figma? Yeah, can I? Like one of my lectures, my boring lectures. I don't like listening to myself, by the way, but let's just say I want to bring one of my.
Would you say that, you said there's like a tutorial video, but then they have those interactive ones?
Right.
Would you say like those are a really good resource, like to really get the hang of it? Because I find I'm better when I engage with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whatever works. I mean, I use both. Sometimes at night I go to sleep. All I do is watch different things. I want to educate myself more and more.
Like when you fall asleep.
Yeah, I watch like I have my iPad on and I fall asleep watching sometimes content.
I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, always learning. You always have to stay on top of your game. Even we have to learn somehow, right? We got to keep on top of our game too. No one's gonna. Who's gonna teach me, right? I gotta teach myself. So always have to keep learning all the time. We take certificate courses. We go to different seminars and do things, but it's like anything else. Educators have to be educated too. All right. So let's go to the thing here. I'm gonna see if I can find my network. I think it's under my storage facility here. Humber vids. Yeah, I don't think I can bring in large videos. I don't think it'll let me. I'll bring a shorter video next time to test this theory, but we can bring in the videos, okay? The pen tool. Do you think the pen tool exactly like in Illustrator? The pencil? Yeah, you can just do that. But the pen tool is the pen tool, as you know. Let's see if we can draw something interesting here. Let's draw the Nike logo, okay? Let's do this. Let's go here. Let's do that. Let's connect it this way. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Works nice. Then you can go ahead and edit the points. Come on now. It's Mikey. Right? Mikey. So it's like a knockoff brand. Right? There's the Nike.
Make the ends rounded to confirm the knockoff.
We could absolutely, right? Right? I don't know if you can round it once you maybe after you convert it or something.
Like no, like see how there's like a dot beside. Yeah, that.
Oh, these are the anchor points. The handles, yeah. But they work, right? They're just there. Maybe after the fact, if I flatten it somehow, I can do it. But yeah, the pen tool works well. My ultimate test for the pen tool is when I do things like this. Oops. I want to do things like this. I go like click and drag, and I want to cut it. You see how it's curving this way? Cut. I like it actually. You don't have to hold command to cut it. Like in Photoshop, you have to hold command to cut that open, right? Otherwise it won't cut at 90 degrees.
Does it cut?
Yeah, it cuts it. Like if you go like that and you want to go straight this way, you just click. In Photoshop you can't though.
Oh right, you
gotta hold control. And same as other programs, even like other programs that use called the Bezier tool, the pen tool, same thing. You have to know how to use it properly. It's finicky. Yes. Which one? Paint bucket.
That's a silly icon for a paint bucket.
I don't think it's applicable for this, but maybe it paints objects if you have some right there. Let me just delete this first. Done. Yeah, silly paint bucket tool. But if you double click on one of these objects, it does give you an extra menu for you to work with. So you could kind of do the paint bucket thing with fills and stuff. I don't know how this. You could edit the stuff though. It's got some cool editing features. I think it's just a sample tool. Type tool. Okay, let's put some text boxes here. So the type tool works like this. If you click once, it'll treat it like a text box. And then it'll do that. So regardless of how you click, it still gives you a text box. So you can either do a draw text box and just type your text here, right? And it becomes a text box, right? But I like XD when you can just grab the bottom and it does it as a unit, not like a text box itself. So let's try that using the, just click once, heading, right? So if that's the case, it still doesn't work, right?
You don't like shift or.
Well, you can do command, yeah, you can do that.
No, but like.
Oh, hold command, yeah, watch this now. No, you can, that does rotate. There's a way though. No, I'll show you. Watch. So here's what the answer is for this. Instead of selection, go to scale tool. The scale tool will convert this into scale. So, and look, no shift required.
Is there a shortcut for that?
K. So K and V. K is scale. K for scale and V for move up. Okay, right? Because they're taken up.
Yeah.
Huh? K, V at the same time. So V, I move it. K, I scale it. Right? V and K. That's it. Vitamin K. Very good for you. Vitamin K. Yeah, that's why onions are healthy for you. They got a lot of vitamin K. A lot of immune system stuff. I'm not sure. So just I do work with biochemists though. Sometimes I overwhelm with chemicals. These guys do all kinds of formulas and they talk to me about different compounds and stuff. I'm like, no. I'm not gonna stick to what I do. All right. So those are your tools in a nutshell. This is your resources, which we haven't done any yet. We're gonna make some in the future. Your navigation hand tool and a comment box. And yes, you can say this is in working progress, right? So therefore, this now, chat box, right? So this now here is your little box you can put anywhere. And if you collaborate with other people, they can actually go ahead and comment on things, which is kind of neat to comment on boxes. So those are your tools. This is your layers. This is your assets. Next week, we'll start using more advanced stuff like assets. I'm going to do more interactive stuff with you next week. So first, I want you to play around with the software, get familiar with it, draw frames, boxes, do what I did. You follow this example here. Because next week, we're going to create a UI kit for the desktop, which is your next assignment. So maybe try to think of how you're going to utilize your UI kit for your website you do now. And then that'll be your next assignment, and then I'll introduce the project. The project will be, I'll read it now actually quickly so you can start it as well, okay?
Is it open for us to like view?
Yes, it should be. Let me make sure it is, okay? Because it is, this is now, like right now, from now till the end of the semester, it's crunch time. Everything that you have to do is like based on the last resource. So like your last project, you can start thinking about it from now till then. So for me, you have one item left, like an exercise and a project. That's it. There's no more after that. And you have from now till the end. So we have a month. We still have a month, a good month ahead of us. So don't panic. Don't think it's all over yet. We still have a month. Let's use it wisely and let's have fun because these days you'll miss. When you guys finish school one day, you're gonna miss these days. You're like, you know, I miss when I was in school in the classroom with all my peers. So try to, you know, kind of like immerse yourself in this experience, user experience, right? So try to have fun. Try Try to enjoy the moment, okay? At the same time. Don't get all stressed out. Enjoy it. How do I save the file? How do I save this?
I'm sure.
There's no save.
Heck yeah. Wait, what?
File save. There's no save. What do I do?
It's export. Hang on. Save
Export.
local copy.
Why would export?
Save local copy.
Save local copy. Good.
Come on.
But how? Or save to version history, right? But if you do local copy, it's just going to give you a file here,
It's an automatic.
right? Here's my point. It's automatically saved, which is great. So if I accidentally go here and go to drafts, what's going to happen is this. It's going to show up in my drafts location, right? So you can always continue your projects later on. It shows up there. Huh? What do you mean rights?
Can be the system.
Yeah, it's in the memory, yes, process. Yeah. So practice the program, have some fun with it. It's a little different than XD, but not that much different as long as you understand the components. Okay, I'm not done yet, so can I just finish and you guys can go ahead your own way there with your groups and stuff. You want to talk to your teammates. Let me just tell you about the project. This is so this is all visible here.
And are there any other resources that aren't? You know how sometimes there'll be like the slideshow explaining it in 1 week and then like the submission resources and like the submission, like, is there any other thing other than this?
Yes. What I would do if I were you for all your classes is go to your calendar, right? Like, look, if I go to my calendar from here, I can see all my stuff that's due. I can click on month view and I can see everything here. That's my bird's eye view.
I don't know if every class does that.
Well, it should be. So if you want to get a bird's eye view on all your projects, for all your courses that here that you're taking, just go to your calendar, switch it to month view, and you can see here, for example, you know, whatever is due today or next week or whatever, you can see it here. Okay? Maybe some of them not released yet, but it should be, right? Another way, just go to your class here. Here's another way. Right? If you click on your page, grade book, all your items are here. So if you click on your interactive UI kit, there's your project here as well, right? And you can go to content and settings, and you can see everything here. You should be able to see this. So the UI kit should be geared towards your website. So read this out. You're going to do a rough draft, okay? A few ideas on paper, digital screen, configure basic approach. You're going to use Illustrator, Photoshop. You're going to use Figma. So if you use these two, copy and paste. So I suggest use Figma. Don't even, I should change this because Figma back then didn't exist. We didn't use Figma. We used Photoshop and XD and stuff back and forth. So I would not suggest doing Photoshop. Perhaps maybe Illustrator, copy and paste will work, okay? Good drafts. Full render design, capture all the elements. I'll show you an example of other students, what they've done with this. It's going to be an interactive board. So your buttons will have hover states, click states, and all that stuff. It's not just going to be a design. It's going to be an interactive UI kit. And those interactive things can go inside your apps and websites, okay? So that's what's due. When is this due? It's due on the March 26th. What's today? 12th. So you have 2 weeks for this one. Okay? So next week, like get it started already, and you can have it done. It's not a big job, this one. It's a bunch of buttons, and you already did this before, only this time it's going to be more interactive. Okay? Because as you're doing this, the last thing is this one here. This is your final project for this class. It's prototype portfolio project handout, okay? Now here's the good news. You don't have to do research because that's what's done in your, who's your teacher for your portfolio? Roberto or Jeremy? So Jeremy's got to get you to do this. You're already collecting all your artwork, all your files from other programs. You don't have to really do this part. What you have to do is your sitemap. Show me how it's going to connect. That's very simple. A box going into another box and stuff like that. A sitemap and a prototype. Okay? The prototype will be done in Figma. So I'm going to change this from XD to Figma. And you're going to basically make this work like a real website. We're going to do this in class. So I'm going to show you how to do this with me live here. So don't worry. I'll walk you through it just like I do with everything else. Okay? You just have to, you know, come, show up, be prepared, bring your stuff with you, and you're good. All right? The last thing, this is going to be like the last week in April. Sorry, first week of April, which is the last 2 weeks. We're going to convert a mobile conversion. We're going to convert your website into a mobile app. So just to show you can have both things. So when you go to a job interview, you're going to pull up your phone and say, here, check out my app, what I did. And hopefully it's going to be a real interview, not a virtual interview, because then you can say, I can make apps, prototypes for apps. You can make websites. You can make lots of things that are in demand these days. Okay? And that's it. Okay? So let's focus on the group project that's due this week. And next week, we'll talk about these other things and I'll elaborate more details if you need to. All right. So have a good week. Good luck. And I'll see you guys in the next class. This recording session is over now. And I'm going to stop the record button.